Yo, you listening to the Oprah Rose Show with TT and Gigi, and yeah, get it poppin'.
Thoughts. Everything begins with thoughts.
She's a slut, she's a hoe, she's this, she's that.
We say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much.
It's about people being uncomfortable with women owning their sexuality.
What is the truest, highest vision that you hold for yourself?
I'm a real ass bitch, and I'm gonna get everything that I'm gonna get on my own.
I know for sure. You don't get what you wish for. You get what you believe.
What's up, what's up?
I'm TT.
I'm Gigi.
And I'm Dee Dee.
What is the song? No, we need another Atlanta song.
Stilettos, pumps.
There we go.
In
Okay.
the club.
Oh, you already did that one too.
I know.
We
but-
did that one.
Come on, G. What was your college
Right.
years like?
I don't know what
Y'all
y'all been told, but I gotta give me a big bankroll.
This is the Oprah Atlanta edition.
I ain't gonna
If you didn't know.
I ain't gonna give up. No, I ain't gonna let up.
Is that's low-key a Negro spiritual?
It is a Negro spiritual. Yes.
Yeah, that is a neat. Didn't they play that last night?
They played it last
did.
night.
They sure did.
Shout out to Harold.
Damn.
Who gave us a great time, a great
we
re-entry
lit-
into
yeah,
it.
we
Shout out to Diamond too.
Yeah, shout out to
Right.
Diamond. Yeah,
Mother
we going
Gotti.
back. Mother Gotti. We are going back. Again, you know, the Atlanta version has been very fun recording.
We've had so much fun.
I know.
We can keep going on and on, but this version, we have somebody who I was really excited to have on the show because we've become really close friends out of just a very random transaction in our lives.
Yes.
But, she is a mother first, an author, art collector, host, and CEO. Come on. Look at the CEO.
I be working.
Of a millennial guide for financial education, My Fab Finance. I'm welcoming Tonya Rapley.
Thank you.
But yes, we met late last year in December?
November. No, I remember the date, November 10th.
November 10th. So,
Yeah.
so I've had a lot of newness in my life recently as well. We're like moving to Atlanta, new job. So everything is like a blur, but thank you for remembering.
Yes.
Because it was a big moment for the both of us.
Uh-huh.
And the home that you previously were in, 66 Poppy and I now live in.
Yeah.
And that's how we became
and
friends.
own.
And
I mean,
own.
Yes,
no,
they are
it's
not
a little-
renters. They are
yeah.
owners. They bought the
Okay.
It's a
house.
little
Bought the
different.
house.
Bitch, I live. You
Right.
own. Okay.
And it was a beautiful transaction because it was the first house that I saw when I came to visit. FaceTime Anthony and was like, "This feels like home." Like I was like, I just love how everything's set up. The energy in here is really good. And like meeting Tonya at the closing table, it was like, okay, we're gonna be friends. Like it like felt like that. Like I said that to her, like, no, we'll be friends and exchange phone numbers. So thank you.
And I don't know if Dee Dee told you, we have a connection because the realtor who was responsible for helping him is my line sister Ashley.
Right.
Oh, that's how y'all got
Right.
connected.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
She was wonderful too.
She was.
We had great real estate agents. Yeah. You purchased my first home.
I know, and it ended up being our first home.
Yeah.
I love that. It's and it's
So
beautiful.
cute.
Like we walked in and was like, "You're grown. Like I feel like this is like,
It's like when
an
you go to
adult."
your mama house.
Yes.
It was like that.
Yeah.
Did you get
it
that same
was.
reaction when people came to visit you?
Yeah, because that was my first home. And so
Right.
people were like, "Oh, this is a starter home." Like, because it was such a beautiful space for us. I knew that I moved from LA and I
Right.
bought that house without seeing it because I bought it during the pandemic. So I did a virtual tour. My agent Terrence did a virtual tour, and I was like, "Yeah, I think so. I think so." And it was such a good decision. It was such a beautiful home for.
That's
us while we
big.
lived
Yeah, like you
there.
said, to buy your first home,
Yeah.
like sight unseen.
I mean,
and
technically, Anthony did the same thing. He never saw it until we were like in the 5-day bracket when you could say no. And I remember being like, all right, you got to come down to come see it because at this point we're like kind of like in it.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, it's been a dope experience and just kind of like making it our own and having fun with it. But it's been a great decision because we needed that slowdown. As I've talked about numerous times on the show, working on this kid, child. And so it only made financial sense that we bought the house and then proceeded to go down the surrogacy journey. So more to definitely come with that.
You definitely have enough space.
Oh,
Yes.
the space
I was
is
going to ask that because where would the nursery room
it's
be?
upstairs where you were doing your makeup in that bathroom. So that room. That's
The
like
one connected to the bathroom, that's
yeah.
what you would use? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what we use
okay.
as, well, yeah, because you still have,
the guest rooms
downstairs.
But it's so
Yeah.
we joke about where the rooms that we've changed were because her son's room is now 6 Poppy's store. Basically, the
Oh,
clothing.
is that what he's using in the
Yeah,
store?
that is
I
the
look at him on
clothing.
Instagram. I'm like, what room is he in? He's not in the office. What room is he in right now? So he uses, that's Karis's old room.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it has a lot of like youthful energy in there.
Yeah, it's such a, it really is just like good bones. It's and then I made it my own, and then you guys will make it your own.
For sure, sure. So, you are very versed in financial literacy and basically made a multi-million-dollar company off of it. But I think the biggest thing about it is that you were super transparent. So what made you decide to be very transparent about your financial path? Because I know when you started My Fat Finance, like the big thing for you was around your credit score.
Yeah.
And what was it at that time? And like, how did you go down this journey of wanting to teach other people?
My credit score when I started was a 547, I think. It was a 547. And I was transparent because I knew I needed outside accountability. It was like, I can say I want to do this, but unless I create a blog and do this, and honestly, I'm going to be transparent. So, like, transparent about transparency. So, when I started the site, I was seeing all these other people start these blogs, and they were getting, like, free clothes. So I was like, I just want free clothes from Macy's. So that's really why I started my blog. I was like, I'm just going to talk about financial responsibility, and Marshalls and TJ Maxx and all these like financial responsible brands will reach out to me. None of them have partnered with me yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
None of them.
Yeah. Right.
Wow. Hey, y'all.
Yes.
But it turned into something bigger. And I think that my transparency, I knew I had to do something different because I don't have a finance background. And I knew I had to be like, look, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just figuring this out, and y'all are going to learn with me.
Right.
And at that time, one of my mentors was like, go the Kevin Hart journey, like Kevin Hart, or the Kevin Hart route. And his route was he invited everyone along on his journey. And so people took part in his wins because they were like, they owned those wins too, because they remembered when he started out as like this aspiring comedian. And it's really beautiful how that has turned out in the financial journey, because like even when I bought the house, even down to me getting a divorce, and like that's the reason why we ended up selling the home, is because me and my ex-husband got a divorce, and it would have just been ridiculous to try to refinance. So I was like, I'll just move into my rental property. We can sell it. And the fact that like people were celebrating, like, oh my God, I remember you started My Fat Finance and now you're buying a home. Or when I had my son, and like people have really bought in on the journey. So I think that as a Black financial educator, it's important to be honest and transparent with people so they can see themselves in you. Because for so long, we haven't seen ourselves in the people who taught us about money.
Absolutely.
And I love that you said, like, see themselves in you, but also, like, you can do it, too. Like, I started this, and mine was 547. You know, like, yours is probably 547, too.
Right.
And I'm not smarter.
Right.
I was like, I'm not smarter than you.
Right.
Yeah.
So those, I mean, in my opinion, that's the conversation that I'd rather be a part of than someone who has always had the 750 or above, you know.
Right.
And it's so daunting, you know, like I think there's so much, it's scary, you know. And I actually, when Daryl said it, I was like, I follow that page, you know, and it's like, I've been following it for years.
Yeah.
So it's so scary, whether it's like home ownership, right? Like that for me is something that is so daunting that I cannot wrap my head around. And like, I hear those words and it's like refinance or whatever. And I was like, whoa, child. It's just,
but refinance can be a good thing.
Right. No, I know.
Normally
but
on the surface. Right.
Yeah,
normally it's
y'all buy,
right.
Yeah.
Right. It'd
And
be a good thing.
and now I kind of understand it because my sister is in real estate. So I kind of understand it a little bit more. But I think in the beginning it was scary. You know, you're just hearing those words and you don't know. And like I said, I mean, I live in Brooklyn. So I remember in the pandemic, I was like, oh, I'm going to be able to buy. And then when I finally really started paying attention, I was like, ha. No, you can't, because you're going to be in East New York. So I don't know about that.
Which is also turning around too, though. They're building.
building.
When I moved to New York, I first moved to East New York. Like that, I was sleeping on a couch in East New York.
And I was in Bushwick, and I watched that turnover, you know, and you could see it very quickly. But I was like,
that one you could
I want to go to
Yeah.
East New York.
It's,
Like,
all of New York is, I feel like so much of it's going to change. I know
Absolutely.
someone who bought like down off of new lots. And
Oh,
like
wow.
down
Yeah,
there is
That's a
changing.
lot. That's the last stop on the 2.
It's exactly. It's crazy. I mean, but that's the things that also I feel like unless you are like a multimillionaire, you have to kind of look at those places in New York specifically of like how is it changing a little bit because it's so
Because it will.
It is. I mean, literally for everything that I would want, it was like a $2 million home in regular Brooklyn. Like I'm not talking about in like Dumbo or anything like that. I was just like, this is crazy. So I guess what are some things, I know the list is so long of things that people can kind of do, I think let's start financially first. Some things that someone, let's say they do have a super low credit score and you are trying to build up your credit. Like what are, so those like, I guess immediate like overarching steps?
Yeah, I think one of them is it takes debt to build your credit score. Like there are so many people who are like, well, I don't do credit cards. And it's like, okay, well, that's a valuable tool to help you build your credit score. So understanding that it takes debt and a good relationship with debt to build your credit score. So even if maybe getting a secured card product or a secured loan, there's now credit builder loans that you can take out. But I definitely say you want to make sure your credit is in a good space. You want to make sure your debt, you can have debt, but you want to have manageable debt so that it doesn't necessarily impact your debt to income ratio. The good thing is that as you pay off or pay down debt, it's also going to boost your credit score. But then also like the savings. And I think that what's important for people to understand now, because the housing market is so different. And that's why I was saying like, refinancing for you would make sense. But for me, it didn't because I bought my house at 3%.
Right. It was
I was
2021.
refinance at double. I was like, I'm not paying double for this house. Like, but you have to understand the market that you're in and the market dynamics, because every time isn't a good time for everyone to buy a house. So understanding what market that you're in, saying I'm in New York, this is my income, this is what amount of house I qualify for. I might have to move, and like making peace with the fact that based on your income, you might have to move to a place where you can afford the housing. So it does include doing that research. So the credit score, building the credit score, I would say do your research on the housing market first to determine if you want to stay there, because that's going to drive how much you save for your down payment. A down payment on a $2 million home is very different than a down payment on a $400,000 home.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to decide like, what am I saving towards and what are my savings goals? And then from there, you just like work your plan. Like just keep working on your credit score. Just keep paying down that debt. And I'd say give yourself about like 6 to 12 months of that, depending on where you're starting at. And then I would say sit down and speak with a lender and see if you can get pre-qualified or see what they say. Because a lot of people will email me and they'll be like, am I ready to buy a home? And I'm like, I don't know.
I haven't looked
Right.
behind
I don't know. They'll be like, my credit score is so-and-so. Am I ready to buy a home? I don't know.
That's not the only
That's not the
factor.
only-
Like you need to sit down with
Yeah.
a lender. And I think people are so afraid of getting inquiries on their credit report. But the thing to understand is that inquiry only affects your credit score for 1 year. And then that inquiry also, it'll be on there for 2 years, but it only affects your credit score for 1 year. And then also like some inquiries, depending on your credit score, it's like a 3 to 5 point ding. It's not even like a 20 point ding.
Right.
So you might as well do it because they're the ones who do the underwriting. They're the ones who are going to tell you, do this, do this, do this to get approved.
Yeah.
I can't
Essentially,
tell you that.
Yeah.
That's what will happen. And I think you also even talked about one time, I think I was reading something where you said that buying a home isn't always the best investment that you can make. Where I think people think that, oh, I bought a home, this is a great investment, this is the best investment that's out there, where that may not be your best investment, but it's like knowing what you can do. And so what did you really mean by that?
Well, I think that particularly in communities of color, we've been told that homeownership is the way to wealth.
Right.
Like you buy a house, like that's how and it can be, but if you can't afford to keep that house up,
Right.
if you can't afford to pay the taxes on that house, like and maintain that house, if you can't afford everything that comes along with it, then it's not really an investment for you. You're not taking any investment. Yeah, any investment, you have to take care of that investment. If you can't afford that house, it is not. It's not a good investment for you unless you can find a way for you to be able to afford it, whether that's renting out rooms or finding some way to make it more affordable for you. But it really does depend on where you are in your life, whether it makes sense financially, and where you are when it comes to your financial stability as far as is a home purchase. And then also where that home is situated. All houses don't appraise. And so where you want to live. So when we first moved here, when we were going to move here, and I asked my real estate agent, we looked at certain areas. And he said that this other area we were looking at was tapped out. He was like, as far as equity, they're kind of like maxed out. So you're not going to see that much of an increase in your home value by moving into that community. He was like, but that house that you move into, he was like, when he pointed me in the direction of that home, he was like, you still have room. And I mean, I can be transparent here. We made like 100 in 2 years off of that house because he pointed us into the right neighborhood to buy in.
Right.
We made over $100,000 in equity in 2 years in that house.
Yeah.
Whereas other homes weren't appraising at that rate. So like you have to be smart on where you're buying a house also.
Yeah.
And people just think I fell in love with it. Like just because you fell in love with it doesn't mean it's a good investment.
Right.
It's so much
Such
that
a
goes
good
into
answer.
it.
Because even that for us, like, you know, looking at that same thing, like we were very cognizant, like wanting to be in the South Side. Like I was like, this is going to be the area that will appraise more, because if I go up to Marietta, Smyrna, all that shit, like to your point, like that's tapped out. Like, I mean, the white people up there now, so like that shit, they done tapped that out. They ain't getting out nothing out of that bitch. So went on down to South Side. So that's how we kind of ended up in that area and looking around that.
It's
so
by airport.
same thing.
Right,
Yeah,
I was
it's by
literally about to say that.
Yeah,
by the airport.
I
super
fly a lot.
convenient.
That's a requirement for me. Anywhere I live outside of New York, because I was not living by JFK.
JFK,
No, absolutely not.
I was not living
Nobody's
over there.
living by
Definitely
no.
But when I lived in LA, I lived in Inglewood, like right there off of La Brea, Manchester, that area. When I lived in
where you was at.
Yeah, so I always need to live near an airport for my purposes, and so that's this. It was all good. Like, it was all
it makes total sense, like even thinking of it in the same way. So kind of want to switch gears a little bit, and so we talk a lot about self-care and like what we like to do like for ourselves and the things of the world, like money going in and out, social media, all those things. But it's like, what do you do to like center, to get back to the core of you? In the recent episode we just did, I was talking about like learning new things, and like I like to be a student of the world and still learn things. I've seen that you've been into meditation a lot. Gigi loves meditation as well. And so I guess I'll ask G first. So how is your meditation journey going?
Oh, it's good. It's a constant journey. And I tell this to anybody who wants to participate or start, meditating, is that if you miss a day, you shouldn't beat yourself up. Ideally, I know for me, ideally is best if I do it once a day, but I didn't do it today, right? I woke up in a frenzy trying to get myself together to come here.
We all did.
Yes, we all did. And that's okay. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. But tomorrow, I'll be intentional about setting the time. But it's really about being intentional about setting the time for you. Meditating is for you, And then I learned, he's so problematic, but I was introduced to meditation via the Russell Simmons book when he talked about it. I know, so problematic. He
Success Through Stillness.
Yes, and that was when I learned about it. And he gave the best example. He was like, "There's no way that you can make your mind be still, but you can control the thoughts that, whether you choose to entertain a thought or whether you choose to release it." So even if I'm having a hard day where I'm having a hard time focusing on whatever it is I'm focusing on, if it's affirmations, if it's just, my breathing, and I have a thoughts keep coming, I acknowledge the thought and then I send it back and then I focus back in. And that's a part of the journey for me. So like not kicking myself when I don't do it perfect. There's no perfect way of meditating, but we feel like, if you aren't a yogi or somebody like doing it for 30 minutes a day, like, somebody in Tibet or something, that you aren't successful at it. But your journey is your journey.
I agree. Meditation is like, I think as an entrepreneur, for me, meditation is really important because there's so many challenges that come along with entrepreneurship that it helps me regulate some of the emotions that I have. It helps me center on like, what do I want to focus on today? Like, do I want to focus on gratitude? Do I want to focus on self-love? Do I want to focus on forgiveness? So I use the Insight Timer app. Love Insight Timer. I'd be like, which one are we doing
This is
today?
why I proposed this question, because y'all both use that app.
It's so good. It's so good. And it charts your days. Yes. So right now, I'm on a streak. I'm on my 117th day.
Yes.
I know that's right.
17th consecutive day.
Incredible.
About to be the personal record of 120 27 days, but that was done when I was pregnant with my son. And I have found that meditating as a mother is very different than meditating like before I had him, because my time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is that?
Oh,
that,
absolutely. I really had to. I'm not a morning person, but I kind of did have to make myself become more of a morning person so that I could get ahead of him.
Right.
So
Okay.
now I wake up at 6:50, and my meditation and prayer time is from 6:50 to like 7:30, and I wake him up. Or he wakes up and gets ready for school, and now he'll wake up and he'll just come lay at my feet while I meditate. So
my daughter acknowledges, and it's so funny. I feel like I didn't start when I was pregnant. I started, I think, maybe in COVID 2020. I think when I really started. And my good friend Fallon, who also, she's the one who introduced me to that app specifically. She had this crazy streak like you. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I remember getting frustrated because my daughter would like intervene and she would come in. And then eventually I stopped getting frustrated and I just showed her what I was doing. And I said, it's my breathing time. Would you like to breathe with me? You know?
Breathing time.
And so now she knows it to be meditation. So if she sees me doing it, she does like your son does and just comes and does it with me.
Oh my God.
So it's a really good thing to introduce your children to, you know, like showing them to just what it means to connect to yourself. And that is something we can also do together, right? Like we can connect with ourselves together. So.
I do that a lot with Karis. Sometimes he'll just have those days where he's just like running at 100. And I'll be like, you know what? We need to sit down. Come on. Like, let's sit down. I'll pull out the sound ball. I'll be like, okay, we're going. Like, let's get it together. Let's do our breathing exercises. And I think that, my wellness journey has been, I think as a result, like COVID, I realized after having my son that I'm predisposed to anxiety. Like, I think I had anxiety before I had him, but having him and then COVID, it was like, you an anxious bitch. Like, it was really like, oh my God. Like, this is, I didn't think I was anxious, but between the two of those things,
you start seeing it.
I was like, oh my gosh, we got to get a handle on this, and we have to find like a way to cope with this. And so I think that I really leaned on meditation because of that. I'm transitioning my business right now. There's anxiety that comes along with that because I'm doing things differently than I've done things. Saying no to things that would put like more money in the bank account, and so there comes anxiety. Like, am I doing the right thing? It's like, let's just meditate. Like, let's just ground.
I love it because we had another guest who is also an entrepreneur and a mom as well, and I love that you guys, you know, within this journey are also like you're taking the time for yourselves to take out. Like you said, that 40 minutes is kind of like that's a significant amount of time.
Yeah, that is.
You know, like to take out every single solitary day to take out those 40 minutes for yourself. And then, like you said, and then teaching your kids this, like, I absolutely love it. Like, I was supposed to, for Lent, I was supposed to do it for 40 days. Don't even ask me how many days I've done, because it's
but that's okay.
But this is somebody that needs to meditate.
Oh, I am literally, and I hate to say it too, but the Russell Simmons book, I too read it, and he's like, if you can't take out 15 minutes for yourself, like, that's an issue. That there is an issue if you cannot take that out for yourself. And, you know, as I don't have kids, so I also very much could, like, and I have a flexible schedule, so there are no excuses at this point for me not to. And like sometimes, you know, G would post on Twitter. I remember one day you posted, because you got to get back to that also.
Yeah, you don't post.
I don't post it anymore.
I need you to get back to that.
It was like the it would have a quote.
The one that I would use.
Yeah.
So whatever, when I would see it sometimes, even in the middle of one time I saw it, you had posted it, and I did it. Like, I literally, I did it. Like, you that's why I said you have to. No, I'm like, please, I'm asking you to get back to it. Yeah, it did. An influencer. Exactly.
Wow.
That it did. It influenced me. And like you said, I think as I've gotten older, there are things that I never considered myself like an anxious person. And I think my control issues come out as anxiousness, which I did not realize. Like, they are completely related. And it's like, I absolutely need to like sit down, you know, and we talked about like our list and like having all these things and I like structure. So I'm like, why am I not as someone that again needs all of this kind of like boxed up things, like why am I not taking this time out for myself? So I'm for real, y'all. I'm going to, just like my boxing journey, I'm going to start
tomorrow.
Right, exactly. We can do it tomorrow.
It's 3 minutes. Sometimes people think that like I gotta sit down and meditate for like 20 minutes. Sometimes it really is like sometimes it's like 3 to 5 minutes just getting in, getting out, and just like doing a little boom, boom, boom. Right. You know, like it doesn't have to be. I think the longest I've ever meditated because I'm not a long meditator. Because my brain just starts like
same. That's what
we could be doing so much more right now.
right.
So I think that the longest I've ever meditated might be like 27 consecutive minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's just like it won't. My brain won't even let me focus. It'll be like, girl, get up.
And I love that you say that, because that is such a misconception that I thought that, like you said, I'm like 30 minutes.
I definitely thought it was like at least 15.
Right.
That's why that app, I feel like, has been powerful for me, because it allowed me to kind of grow with it. I started off with just the 3-minute ones. And then I was like, okay, I actually want to do more. Like I'm liking this. I'm liking how this makes me feel. And there are days where I can't do a 3-minute one, or days where I can't do a 10-minute one, but I can do that 3-minute one.
Yeah.
And it allows me to still be committed to my practice and committed to myself in that moment.
Yeah.
Taking a moment. Like,
No, I love that. Even, you know what, I'm just thinking about, I totally forgot. Like I said, our other guest one day, and we don't know each other that well. We know each other through G and Instagram. And I remember one day she sent me a 10-minute Peloton meditation, and I was having such a rough day. And like I said, we don't know each other. And she literally sent it to me. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, how did you know I needed this? And I think I did it in my office. It was just like, I had to close my eyes for a second. It was like, let me just sit. Yeah. You know, because even like, I'm thinking about it now, like the Peloton meditation things, they're on the flights. Like they got their little Delta partnership deal. It's like,
that's right.
You can kind of do it, you know, wherever. Like, and I think
on flight.
And like you said, I think it has to be so like, I gotta be like Tina Turner in a little closet. And be the bitch like namne.
Yeah, and which is, I mean, which is fine, because that is a form of meditation, chanting.
Yes.
Because I even think about it that way too, because I think meditation looks different for everybody. Like it sounds like y'all do it in the bed.
I get up.
I usually get up. I do it by the side of my bed.
Okay.
See, I was doing it in my bed. Maybe I need to get up.
I'll do it in my bed sometimes.
Okay.
I like sat up in my bed and do it. Sometimes I go into my living room area. Sometimes I would go into my office.
Got it.
Okay. Into office space. So I do it on plane. Like, and sometimes I fall asleep.
I fall asleep to them too. Yes.
Like, okay, sweet dreams.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. Because I remember one time we were talking about meditation, and like, I think I'm meditating when I'm in the morning in like quietness. I'm like making my juice. I'm making my like little parfait bowl, whatever. Like it's literally like an hour of quietness. Like there's no sound. Like I don't look at my phone. Like nothing. To me, that's meditation.
It is,
but
though.
it's like
it's a form.
It's a form. So like I always want to say that too, because I think people think meditation is like
sitting legs crossed.
Let me sit legs crossed. And that whole thing. Like I'm just letting whatever thought come, and if I don't want to address that thought, nope, next thought, like whatever. But that for me works, where it's like I am doing something active. I can't just sit still. I think that's the anxious part of me. So I think I still need to be doing something.
Though.
I was gonna say, but you probably need to, because
I need to be still doing something.
I'm a person that there's always probably like music, even if I have to have background noise with everything. So like you said, that hour though of, you know, you making this stuff, I like, for me, I know I need to be like so purposely like in the moment and dedicated to that moment, because like you said, if I'm making about, you still think about the blueberries, you know, or whatever, it's like, damn, I gotta go, I done ran out of raspberries, I gotta go get something else, you know, like where, and I think even in the meditation, like I've never done it, and again, I'm only done it a few handful of times, that though, like you said, how the thoughts come and then you have to release them. I would be up there, like I said, then I'd be like, well, let me make a list of the things. I ran out of eggs. You know what?
That too, though. Yeah, I'm like, pause, but like, let me get this out of my head before it won't let me get back to what I was doing.
But that's good too, because that happens. Like if I'm looking at what I'm doing as a
brilliant ideas come to you.
Yes, if I'm looking at that as a form of meditation, that actually helps me throughout my day. Like I'll think of stuff that's like, oh, I didn't think of that. I could actually do that later, and it's like something for work. Or to your point, it's like the list. I can go on Amazon real quick, like,
and do it.
I don't have that.
I guess it does not have to be one way, because my mother for years always, she literally be like, let me go do my prayer and meditation. I mean, every morning she says it, and then she goes in the bathroom and she has her cup of coffee and reading her scriptures, and she literally, and it'd be like 30, 40 minutes. And my father does it too. Like, you know, they do it separately. But now I'm like, okay, maybe. And I'm thinking that they have to be like sitting in the, because I'm like, I don't know what, they just in there praying, they ain't there meditating and nothing.
And prayer is a form of meditation too. Yeah, and meditative walks, like meditative walks. So sometimes I'll just go out in nature and just like walk.
So I felt like that when I do my walks, and sometimes I'm like, let me just walk, especially when the seasons are changing. And I live by Prospect Park, and I feel God. Like like the wind moved one, the leaves was changing. I felt like I was in Pocahontas or something. I was like, oh my gosh, like God is really here.
Yes.
Like I was like, I feel him. I feel
Yeah.
the spirit, which I didn't. I thought I was just connected.
Yes, that's exactly that. That's gratitude. That's like seeing like God around you.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you lead in gratitude, you notice the little things and you appreciate God
Yeah.
for those little things.
And look how you lit up when you said it too.
Yes.
Really?
That was
Yeah.
my
You
favorite
did.
things in New York. Like even when I go back, if I have to go back for like projects or something like that, like I was just there last summer. I think I walked from my hotel was on 38th. I walked from Houston to 38th.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Just
wow.
like walked in silence.
it all
Didn't
in.
have my music
Yes.
on or anything, and just walked. People are around me and everything, but
Right.
and you're still aware, but you're in your zone.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's meditation too, because I didn't take my phone out. I was
Because
just
it's a
Wow.
straight shot. It's
Okay.
like,
I just
yeah.
walked straight up.
Wow.
It's such a
Absolutely.
walk-in
The
city
moment.
because you could just walk and just, I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
I was like, I made it. It's like I wasn't sore or anything like that. It's like, because I feel like once you lived in New York, like it's always in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
Always like it's always in you. But I think that it's helpful to think about how you can take care of yourself and take time for yourself differently.
Mhm.
And it might not look like sitting and meditating. It might look like just walking a couple extra blocks to yourself. So you're
Mhm.
not interacting with other people. You just have that alone time.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So it really can look like any way you want it to look. And like, I think I had to be comfortable with what my form was.
Yeah.
Because I thought, like, am I really meditating? I'm fake meditating.
Right,
Like,
right.
No, like I actually
said,
am.
making
Like
your
I'm
juice,
taking
your
time for
parfait.
myself.
Yeah.
It's quiet. I'm addressing my thoughts. I'm praying. I'm being intentional with this time for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think fake
Oh.
meditation is like when you just set up a camera and take a picture for Instagram and say you meditated. That's
Right.
fake.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Now-
But
Yeah.
other than, like that's when
Well,
it's performative.
Instagram
and
won't
it's
even
not
know that
real.
I'm meditating
Right,
at that
exactly.
point.
But
Like,
real meditation is really just stilling your brain, stilling your mind, and like allowing things to flow, or focusing on one particular outcome and one particular thing and centering on that thought.
yeah.
I love
Like I need quiet in the morning, like for at least 30 minutes.
So y'all had that baby.
I know. So I'm savoring
They
it.
don't care.
Right. Enjoy that time.
Damn,
I'm
honey.
savoring it while like
He be like, "Mommy, I'm ready to wake up."
I'm ready to wake
I'm
up.
ready to
I'm
wake
ready
up.
to wake up.
You're already
Like
awake.
right, you're awakened, like you are up.
That's so funny.
So we wanted to play a game with you.
Okay.
It's gonna be rapid fire questions. You don't get a time to sit and think about it. You just gotta pick.
Okay. Oh, I get it either or.
You get it either or.
Okay.
Salty or sweet?
Sweet.
TV shows or movies?
TV shows.
Michael B. Jordan or Jonathan Majors?
Michael B. Jordan.
Wow, we just talked about it. Is Jonathan Majors stands over here? We were
Are
like,
y'all Jonathan Majors fans?
Yeah.
Well, not me.
I am. I'm both, honestly. Choo at this point.
Choo choo.
Very true. Very true. Actually,
Creed?
Oh yes, girl.
3 times.
Yes.
She want to get back into boxing.
LaDonna over here.
It really will make you feel. My son is in jiu-jitsu, and like I was watching, I was like, "Ooh, now you gotta kill him. Now you gotta kill him."
Yeah,
Like, I
yep.
was so into it. I was like, maybe I should get into it.
I'm getting back into it.
Michael
Yes.
B. Jordan, absolutely, yeah.
90s R&B or 2000s rap?
90s R&B,
Stocks or bonds?
stocks,
Martin or living single?
Martin.
Lashes or nails?
Not of all the questions. That's the one that you
That's
got.
the hard one.
That-
right
that-
there.
Nails.
Okay.
Not saying it like that.
Right. Like, because I think when I think of black women, y'all love y'all lashes.
No, it's nails
But
for me.
nails,
It's nails.
like-
I don't even have to
Yeah.
think. That's
Yeah,
definitely.
like I mean, I love lashes too, but I think
Yeah.
that's a new thing. Like
Yeah.
before, we all just had mascara.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I still listen. I'm a strip lash queen. Like I wear mascara. I wear mascara more than I wear lashes. That's why I'm like it's nails,
But nails,
for sure.
yeah. If I have a broken nail, I'm like, oh god.
Yeah. If my nails are not done, my life is in shambles.
That's fair.
Like shambles.
Length or width?
Well,
It
at
could
first
be
I was thinking
anything.
about hair,
It could be
and then I was like, oh,
anything.
push it out.
With
Oh. I know that's right. New York or LA?
New York.
Yoga or HIIT workout?
Yoga.
You sure?
I'm learning to like HIIT, but I'm learning to like both of them. I honestly don't really like either one of them. But someone introduced me to Yin yoga, and I liked yin yoga because I hate downward facing dog. Like, I
What
hate
is
it.
yin yoga?
What's yin yoga?
It's just a more relaxed version of yoga. It's more so like you focus on the stretching and you stay in certain positions. Yeah, you stay in your poses longer. I went to a R&B yin yoga class. It's actually down the street it's on campus. It's down the street.
Okay.
And so I really, really enjoyed that. So yeah, yoga.
Okay. Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram because I'm old.
I mean, same. Look,
Yeah.
I think we can all agree
I be
here.
trying to
It's
TikTok. I
Instagram.
don't even know how to app. I be like,
It's
how
so
do I
confusing.
get back to the
The last one, a rose or a finger?
a rose?
A rose is still a
I
rose.
was like, ooh.
A rose is still a rose.
My God.
Well,
It's like, well, it depends.
it depends. Whatever's there.
With me, a rose. With others, a finger.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, it's always a rose. Like, I was like, don't shit depend. It's a rose. A rose is still a rose.
Wow, a rose is still. I'm hollering.
Like, baby
baby
girl,
girl,
you're still a flower.
You know, you want a finger? No.
No.
Okay. All right. A rose
Negative.
is still a rose.
Yeah. Like, you know our story of like how I feel like single-handedly, one of our friends like was telling us about it, and we were all on like a girls trip for G's birthday, and everybody bought one.
Oh, everybody bought one. On
Like
the trip.
6 of us.
I heard about
like,
it. I wasn't even on the trip.
literally all bought one at one time.
Yeah.
And I was like, girl, they need to give you a little percentage or
Yeah.
something, because you are single-handedly keeping the rose community alive.
Listen, them things, yeah. They're fun.
Yeah,
They're very fun.
They're fun.
they are amazing. So I feel like, yeah, we've done a little, like, we've talked about some of the financial stuff, and then we've tacked on to some mental health.
Oh yeah.
I want to be rich, right? And you was talking about like, now I need a little bit more coins. Y'all know I don't play about my money.
Okay,
Okay,
at all.
No.
y'all, everybody know I don't. I don't play by my.
What's
coin.
your birthday?
Leo. I'm
Oh, you're a
August.
Leo.
Yeah.
Okay, because Capricorns be like,
Yeah.
Really,
Right.
Yes.
I can actually
She
see
probably
that.
got
yeah.
Cap in that money house or whatever.
Whatever the money
I
house.
have a money house. Yeah, I probably. I don't know. Listen, I got Capricorn in all the houses if it equates to money. So, and you had actually mentioned something about investment properties and kind of like looking at areas that are up and coming. Like, what are you kind of seeing, I guess, like nationwide? Because I think, again, as someone who lives in New York, it's very difficult to like buy in Brooklyn. So I have been looking at other areas of, okay, well, maybe, you know, if it's Philly and it's in the schools, and like I do have some in Baltimore, but like for other people also, what are some other areas that you're kind of seeing that, you know, people could look to buy in?
Philadelphia is definitely a market that I think is changing. Something, because there are some that just aren't going to be affordable, but there are affordable pockets. Like with LA, Inglewood was an affordable pocket. Inglewood and Compton were once affordable pockets, and now those are no longer affordable for the everyday, like, working class person.
Yeah.
So it is challenging because COVID changed a lot of that. Because people were able to work from home, so they left cities and they went to like Nashville, they went to Memphis, they came to Atlanta, they went to Florida, so they went and brought all this money into these different markets. So I would just say it's like a market by market. You just have to look at, there's certain markets that we know are priced out: San Francisco, Austin, Texas, New York, and the surrounding areas. But look at the next markets around that and find the pockets within those markets where it makes sense to buy. Like Atlanta still has communities where it makes sense to buy because the gentrification is just starting to happen in those areas. Like Charlotte, North Carolina, where I'm originally from, has the areas where that's starting to happen. Dallas has the areas where that's starting to happen. So look at where it hasn't completely engulfed the city and consider those areas.
Oh, I actually was talking to somebody. She's from New Jersey, and she bought a house in Dallas. Kind of like what you sight unseen. Like, I mean, this was recent. She literally so she sent me all these like people and like the mortgage somebody and finance bros and like all this stuff. I was like, girl, this
Those
is
Texas
a lot.
taxes are nice because, well, I mean, they don't have any state income tax.
Yeah.
So it's Texas. What is it? Vegas.
But it's higher
Florida,
property.
It's
tax.
higher property tax. So they kind of make it, but the property tax is rolled into your mortgage.
Right.
So you don't
right.
feel it the way you would feel like if you get a tax bill at the end of the year from the IRS. So it is different. They do roll it in. But Texas, Florida, I know those are like the most tax friendly, and then Puerto Rico, but those are the most tax friendly U.S. states as it
Places.
pertains to personal income.
Maybe I'll buy a house in Puerto Rico.
You know, the thing
Live a
about
little
that,
life.
the thing about that though, is like the travel. Like
Yeah.
living on the island, I have friends who have bought in Puerto Rico and they love it, but like you have to travel back to the mainland to see your family and everything else. And it is an island, so things are more expensive in an island.
Mm-hmm.
Hurricane season, gas costs, like everything is kind of imported onto the island. So it's like you still spend money being there. Yeah, it's but
also
I love
daunting.
Puerto Rico.
Lord have mercy.
It's
like,
not,
You don't have to
so
be.
and I have to be, even as a finance person, I felt like it was daunting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, so we just about to do all of this, and I had to remind myself, just the way when I became a mom, like I feel like I can say this here. So like when I had my son, I felt like, oh my God, like how am I going to keep this human alive? Like,
Girl,
this
you were
is
I'm
scared.
sure when I
incredible.
had
Like,
mine,
They let us
like,
leave the hospital.
be
listen,
looking at that
I
thing
was like, so
like,
y'all not gonna make me take a class? Like y'all just gonna let me leave with him?
a class should be required.
Oh my
Like,
God.
A
But
class should be
I was like,
required.
in my bed, I was like, you know what? Kim Kardashian raised her kids. Like she had babies, and I started thinking about everybody in my life. Like I had cousins who had babies at like 16. My sister had a friend who had a baby at 14. I was like, and their kids are still alive. You can do this.
Yeah.
So I had to do that with buying a house. I was like, Tonya, people buy houses every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can do this.
Yeah.
Like, just talk to your real estate agent. Your real estate agent definitely makes all the difference. I know that he loves his real estate agent.
yeah.
Like
a godsend from G.
me and Terrence, like that's a godsend. So your
Terrence
real estate
lives an
agent.
amazing life, by the way.
Terrence is
Shout out to Terrence.
He is Terrence Stevens is a fantastic man.
He is. I saw him in the gym recently.
Did you?
I did.
He is awesome. Yeah.
The thing about Atlanta, like, you make family and friends so easily, or like you just meet people and it's like that's that connections for whatever you saw them. It was like, hey, how you been? Like, how was your trip? Just because you follow on Instagram.
Now I feel like that's how life is becoming now. But yeah, your agent can guide you through the process. Like get a solid real estate agent and they can make things so much easier because they've done hundreds of transactions for. I don't necessarily recommend going like a rookie. Like sometimes we get these people and it's like, oh, this is going to be their first home that they sold. Don't.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's not going to be me.
Don't.
Somebody who done did this.
Yeah, because I need someone to hold my hand on this. Now, now that I've purchased homes before, I feel more comfortable maybe going with someone who
because you
doesn't
know
have
what
that
to
experience.
expect.
Right. First time home buyer, that is your coach. Like that's your home buying coach.
And they speak on behalf of you a lot. Like they're negotiating. They're, finding things that you wouldn't even look for.
Listen, we've had a many of emails. Even before that, we were looking at another home. And like you need someone who can respectfully say, like, so what we not gonna do? Like Terrence was a master at like saying that in codified language, but the sentiment would be like, what we not gonna do is play in my client's face like this. Because we had somebody who wanted me to buy a house they were building it and they hadn't put the fixtures in. And so I was like, well, can I choose the fixtures? And they were like, no, we've already selected the fixtures. And so Terrence was like, well, can she see the fixture package? And they were like, no. And he was
why?
That makes zero sense.
Zero, right.
Yeah.
Like, just show it to me.
Yeah, so
you've
Terrence
already
was like,
picked it.
so what we're not going to do is buy this house.
Right.
Since you guys are being so difficult right now, we haven't gotten to the closing table.
Yeah.
So, you need someone who, like, don't play.
Absolutely.
All right, I know I gotta listen. I'm meditating.
I got a great agent in New York.
Properties. Shout out.
Buying in New York?
No, that's why I said no, because everything I feel like seriously everything that I want it's like, and I'm not afraid of like a fixer upper. I was initially looking at that, and it was still. I mean, when I say fixer upper, I looked at a place that the steps were tilted. Like you had to completely come in. They had sinks with no faucet in the bedrooms. Like I don't know what type of haunted ass house. It was like, it was, and it stunk, but it was in, it was right on St. James. So it was like Clinton Hill. And it was like.
That's probably like 800 something thousand plus.
$2 million.
For a fixer upper?
With tilted steps.
Hell no.
And then we looked at another
And
place.
then you got to put
It was
another
just
million
like,
into
right,
it.
exactly.
Literally
That's
just to
another.
fix
You have
it.
to gut out the entire. I mean, it was huge. It was a whole brownstone. But I was literally like, aha, bye. And then, like I said, the East New York places were kind of like, I just hated the area. So I don't know. I've kind of gotten off of buying in New York, to be completely honest.
And the good thing to consider about buying in a market like New York or one of those more expensive markets is New York, the thing that is unique about that is it's so much, because it's so dense, there's so much multifamily living.
Mm-hmm,
And so While on your own income, you know, you maybe qualifying for a $2 million mortgage could be a challenge. I know even for me, it could be a challenge qualifying for a $2 million mortgage, but you can use your rental incomes towards your qualification.
Yeah.
So like if you were going to have tenants on the second
And
or
that's
third floor.
Exactly. And that's what it was. I
I
wanted the third floor. I wanted the 2-family, and I wanted the third floor to be like, someone would rent that out. Because actually one of my friends did that. They bought, and they have like the side property. And it was not cheap, like at all. And they're like in Ridgewood. You know, like Ridgewood, kind of Bushwick. It's just, it's so hard. But then I like come here and I like see y'all house, look like your former house and your house now. And I'm like, why am I living, you know, in rent and spending so much money?
But it has to make sense, right? Like, you know, we talked about it. You know, back and forth. And,
I gotta tell you, I ain't going back to New York.
Like, you know, we were at the point where we were, you know, we were okay with it was our time to leave. And,
I know. I think I just need to get to that point. And I feel like we were talking about this yesterday that I don't know where I would go. Like, I don't love LA.
And that's cool. Yeah.
I don't.
You gotta be ready to go.
Right.
And I
think
that
I'm still
about New York, you gotta be ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm open to it, right? Let's say if something happened and it's like, this is a great and amazing opportunity, I probably would. But I'm also like, I don't know where the hell to go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just stay here for
Are you a native New Yorker?
No, but I'm from Baltimore, so it's easy for me to get back and forth.
I mean,
home.
that's another area. My sister lives in Baltimore. She bought a house in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's what I said. Mine. Yeah, I mean, and you know what's funny? I was the person that left and said I would never move back home. I would absolutely move back home. Like now at this
my
point.
friends, they developed down there. Charm City buyers, like Khalil and Kiara, they like have bought back entire blocks and everything and do a lot of development down there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good stuff happening.
That's what. Yeah, that's what's like. They probably know each other.
Yeah, they
I'm
probably
sure.
do. But
They
there's some good things happening in Charm City.
Come on,
Yes, Charm City.
Yes, there are some good things happening there. Like I spend time with my sister there. But and the thing, like even for you, like you can just hop on a train.
Right. That's also what I said. I was like, I can hop on a train. You know, I have thought about it because my sister's having a baby.
I'm not moving back to Baltimore.
You said you're not.
But I would buy an investment property there.
Right.
Because, I mean, that like the west side of Baltimore neighborhood, like where all the row houses are, it's like, we got to do something. Like, I don't know what the status of is. I'm sure Ryan could probably teach us the history of what's going on.
She will rattle off some stuff that I'm like, girl, I wanted a short.
That is another.
It's real. I was at my sister's house and I like went to McDonald's and I was like, girl, this is The Wire.
Okay, hold on.
It depends on where you was at.
Ain't nothing worse than Edgewood. Wherever the hell we was at.
Good night.
She lives
ain't
in
nothing.
Pigstown.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if you go the other direction from like where the
nice houses
yeah,
are.
it's like because it's like the MGM or something like that, the casino.
Yeah.
You go the opposite direction from the casino.
Yeah, it is a little.
I was like, girl, I'm coming back to your house.
Because we actually have a friend. I remember she bought that place like right after college.
Right. She's been there for
She
like
has been there
15
forever.
years.
Yeah. And she bought down there. Yeah. It's been down there.
So you gotta go where the deals are sometimes. Atlanta was a deal, but now Atlanta ain't Atlanta like it used to be.
Well, what made you choose to move from LA to Atlanta?
My son.
Okay.
Yeah, my son, I just love the culture of Atlanta. I love that Black excellence is the norm in Atlanta. And living in LA, I was like, I cannot raise a Black boy here. That was it was just like he would not see himself enough in LA the way he sees himself here. Like now his principal is Black, his after school teacher is a Black man, his dentist is a Black dentist, his doctor is a Black dentist. Like he sees so many people in leadership roles in his life that look like him, and I wanted him to have that experience. And given that we had a choice of where we could live, and then I'm from the East Coast, so I wanted to come back to the East Coast.
Got it. Okay. Yeah,
And
I love that.
literally
intentionality.
same. That was literally the same thing. Like the neighborhood is super Black. I mean, we wanted that neighborhood because it was Black. Like I don't see white people.
But there's one white lady who be jogging, and I'm like, what's she doing in here? I'm like,
why are you here? I
I
haven't seen her. Maybe because the weather
Is
hasn't
she
broken
lost?
yet.
Right.
She be jogging with her baby. I'm like,
Oh, I ain't seen
That's
her.
even like, you know how people be trying to call police in predominantly white neighborhoods.
There
of
is a
Black
white
people.
woman.
Yeah, they're like, officer, there is a white woman jogging in the
I
neighborhood.
think she's lost. Like, you might want to check on her.
Absolutely.
She's lost. Yeah.
No, it definitely it's a Black neighborhood, and I grew up in a Black working class community, and I wanted my son to grow up in that because
Yeah.
I would get tired in LA, and I go to like hip hop shows, and it'd be like, nothing against Asian people, But as someone who's from the South, like if I go to like,
No, but
if I go to a
real.
21 Savage show, I want to be next to people who like look like me, who feel it and like understand.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just be like little Asian people trying to say nigga and be like, no, whoa,
It's-
no,
yeah.
no,
Yes.
no.
That be-
Like,
I went to go see SZA recently, and it was nothing but white kids. And I'm like, and I didn't realize how much SZA said nigga until you said that. And I looked at that girl next to me like, I dare you. She censored herself every time. I was like, okay, all right.
Be at a
Now
TDE
everybody
show,
else
be
was
like,
singing. Yeah.
and then it just became too much. Yeah. So that's when I was just like, I want to go back to like people who look like me.
Yeah,
And
that's
Atlanta
real.
is a bubble.
Yeah.
It is. It definitely is. And I think that is probably one of my favorite things about it. It is. It's just so many, like the fact how we went
Feels
out.
like home.
Yeah, it does. When we went out, we were kind of like, again, I just said this the last episode. We was like, where the hood niggas at? Like, I just
And
want
we
to be
went.
around.
And you found them.
We-
Yeah.
Where y'all go?
We went. I mean, we went to
Heroes on Edgewood.
Like we
yeah,
went.
We've given them. They low key need to purchase an ad at this point because
We go hit up
we
my
just gonna say,
Bugatti.
yeah, no.
Like, girl.
This is the third
our
damn
coin.
time we done said that. We gonna call it the chicken spot, okay? Because it's
no,
giving
it's
ads.
fine. If y'all
Like-
listening and y'all want to go have a good time, do some karaoke, get some hookah, do your thing.
Atlanta loves a hookah.
I mean, but it was so ghetto. Like, I literally was like, I don't even know where to find this in New York. I could probably maybe find it in Baltimore, but there's no way I would even find that. I wouldn't find that in Brooklyn.
We couldn't even find-
And I live in
Flatbush
Flatbush.
used to be
I live in
that.
Flatbush. No, Flatbush is so gentrified now. Even that. Nope.
I remember
And
when
I mean
first
deep
moved to
in
New York,
Flatbush.
it was like
No.
that. Like when I first moved to New York, we used to have rooftop parties and everything else, and it was just like a golden era.
Yeah.
I feel like it is changing. But yeah, like me and my sister were in London on the same move. I was like, where the niggas at in London?
Where we kept saying, where the top boys at?
Girl,
Where
did
the
y'all
top
see
boys
him?
at?
Did y'all see any? Because
So
me-
remember, we didn't. Then we literally found the guy from Top Boy.
Oh,
yes,
not
we
Jamie.
did.
Yes, Jamie.
I love me some Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie. But I was like, but where are the other top boys? Like,
Right.
not the
Like
actual
real
one.
ones.
Yeah.
Like the accessible, like the ones
Where?
where like, we could carry on a conversation.
I have no.
Would have needed to go to.
Well,
new
I would love to
projects.
actually ask someone because that was definitely someone saw my story and she's like, "Can you tell me where the top boys is at?" I was like, "Girl, we did not find them. I don't
That's
know."
how me and my sister felt. We were on Instagram, like looking at restaurants and everything. So we found this one restaurant that we was like, oh, Nicole. I was like, look, they all like in here. So we go to the restaurant and like nobody's in there. So to this day, she was like, that restaurant catfish.
Right, because you
Like-
see it on
Oh, you know
Instagram.
what? You
and
know what we
it's like,
found? We met people from New York.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
we did.
I want an accent. I don't want y'all.
Right.
exactly.
And we ended up kicking it with them.
And literally, and then saw him in LA. I'm
then-
like,
yes,
all black
it was-
people, you know,
it
they
was-
say if you can read, everybody know everybody. I was just like, oh my God,
Truly,
how do we
1
keep
degree
meeting
of
these people?
separation?
Yeah, but so our ending show questions. What would you tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self that you are way more powerful and capable than you give yourself credit for. Yeah, I think that young Tonya lived within limits. And a lot of my entrepreneurial career, a lot of the past probably 5 years has been like releasing the limits that I placed on myself or releasing the limits that I feel like the world placed on me because of maybe like I didn't go to Ivy League school or I came from working class military parents and stuff like that. So I would say you are way more powerful than you give yourself credit for.
Love that. Yes.
I hate that there's comparisons.
I mean,
That's
it's
the way
just
of the
ain't never
world.
going away.
I
Like,
know, I
ain't never
hate
going
it.
away.
Because to the young impressionable Dee Dee, that was always a thing. Like people place these comparisons on you, and so it's like you don't know any different. Because when we were younger, we didn't have the internet to know like
Right.
you can be any fucking thing you want to be. Granted, people always said it, it's like, can I?
Right.
But you really
now
could.
it's more believable.
Because you
Yeah.
see people doing it every day,
Right.
but it's us. We have
Right.
people
We
on
didn't-
TikTok
yeah.
and Instagram and like people who look like us who had made like millions and stuff like that. It would
Right.
just always seem like these people who were either really stushy and wore suits or worked in certain industries or they came from money. And so, or you heard like, you know, or they were in the music industry like Diddy and stuff like that.
Right,
So
but like you didn't. That
where's
was the
their
only person that
place?
you knew
Right.
that did that. The hundreds of other people that have jobs. There
Yeah, it was like
too.
sports and entertainment,
Right.
right? And it's like we
Yeah.
just bypassed a whole 50,000 other careers.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you know for sure?
I know for sure that I'm here to learn lessons. I think that is what has become clearer to me is that I am here in this life to learn lessons that I was put here to learn. And they're all experiences. So
We love it.
Love that.
Yeah. And Jesus loves me. God loves me. I know. I know that for sure. Yes, that God, I was having a conversation with someone about this, how like God was holding me down in my 20s because I would be on the train from New York City, the A train to Grant Avenue at like 4 a.m. in the morning by myself.
Yep.
Like walking, because my aunt that I lived with lived in East New York. So I would be walking across the conduit from the Grant Avenue stop at like 4 a.m. in the morning. Girl.
But mine was Bushwick Junction. Yeah, the
covered,
Bushwick Junction. Yeah.
Like covered. Or when I moved to Miami, I went to college in Miami, moved into Opelika by myself. Like covered. Driving home from space at 6 a.m. covered. So I know that God loves me for sure. Yeah.
Love that.
I love that. So where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram as Tonya.Rapley. Tonya with an O. TONYA.Rapley. And that's the best place to find me right now. That's the best place to find me.
She said there.
Or LinkedIn if you want to talk about business. I mean, but that's more so my government contracting and business consulting arm of the business is on LinkedIn. But Tonya Rapley for all things personal.
Love it.
Thank you so much, Tonya.
Yes,
thank y'all for having me. This was fun.
I mean,
such a good conversation. So insightful, inspiring, informative, relatable. All things we like to drill down on our show. So appreciate you.
Thank y'all for having me. Great question.
Of course.
Should I do the quote? I mean, I feel like.
Let's see what the quote is.
Well, I was kind of struggling a little bit.
Oh,
So
I noticed.
Was like, I noticed.
Because when I asked you, what did you know for sure, I was like, oh, she's still looking for a quote.
I literally was looking at her like, yes, ask. Like,
she's still looking for a quote.
I'm like, yes. But we just gonna go with this one. At this big age, I'm only interested in progress and peace. Anything that costs either has to go.
Absolutely.
So it was,
absolutely.
It was spot on. Yeah. So I was like,
progress and peace.
Peace and grace. Okay. Like peace and grace. That's
all we need.
We got to give it
and
to
we got to
ourselves.
give it to other people too.
Yes, Lord.
Love is all we need.
Okay, Mary. Oh, Lord. Okay. And while singing Music Soul Child though. And I was like, so many people put your name in vain. I was singing that one. Classic.
Both
I'll do that
of
at
them
karaoke.
Yeah. Both of them are.
We should go do karaoke.
Of course, you want to do karaoke. All right, y'all. Bye.